Welcome to Heart Bloom Story, where every story is told from the heart and touches the soul. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Now, let's begin today's heart-touching story. Red Heart. A young man, barely in his 20s, staggered out of the wreck. His head was spinning, ears ringing, and panic clawed at his chest. His girlfriend, Mia, was trapped inside, pale, trembling, her leg pinned beneath the dashboard. He screamed her name. No answer, only shallow breathing. He pressed his hands against the wound on her thigh to stop the bleeding. Desperation made him say words that would echo in confusion later. I need to make love. Don't move. It'll hurt more. He didn't even realize what he'd said. He meant, I need to make it stop, or, I need to make the bleeding stop. But adrenaline twisted his tongue, and his cry for help came out wrong. A passerby, hearing those words, froze in shock. She called 911, voice trembling, reporting something entirely different, something dark that wasn't happening. Minutes later, though it felt like hours, the sirens pierced the night. Red and blue lights washed over the scene, dancing across the broken glass like fireflies of fate. The paramedic who arrived was named Evelyn Torres, a seasoned responder who had seen everything, or thought she had. When she rushed toward the car, she found the young man still pressing on Mia's wound, his hands shaking, his lips murmuring prayers and apologies. Sir, move back, Evelyn ordered firmly. Let me take over. He looked up, wild-eyed. She's dying. Please, please, she's losing too much blood. Evelyn knelt beside Mia, her voice softening. Hey, sweetheart, stay with me, okay? Don't move or it'll hurt more. You're safe now. Those words, don't move or it'll hurt more, carried an entirely different meaning now. They weren't a command of power. They were a promise of care. Evelyn worked fast, her gloved hands sure and steady. She tied a tourniquet, checked the pulse, and radioed for backup. Mia's pulse was weak but present. Her eyelids fluttered. It hurts, she whispered. I know, Evelyn said. But you're going to make it. I promise. And as the ambulance doors closed behind them, the young man, Adam, sat in the back, guilt pouring down his face like rain. He thought of the words he'd said. He had no idea that those words had already spread, through radio chatter, through misunderstanding, painting a false picture of what had truly happened. At the hospital, police officers waited. The report they received was confused, rushed, man assaulting woman at crash scene. As Adam stepped out of the ambulance, still covered in Mia's blood, he was immediately handcuffed. Evelyn tried to protest. Hey, he saved her life. I saw everything. But the words were already written in someone else's mind. I need to make love, don't move. They echoed out of context, twisted by fear and assumption. In the sterile corridor of the emergency wing, Adam sat alone. His hands shook. He didn't know whether to explain, to cry, or to scream. Meanwhile, inside the trauma room, Evelyn fought to keep Mia alive. When Mia finally stabilized, she whispered something to the nurse. Adam saved me, please tell them that. That one sentence changed everything. The officer returned, confusion written on his face. She said you saved her. Adam nodded weakly. All I wanted was to stop the bleeding. I didn't even know what I was saying. The truth unraveled slowly, painfully. The passerby who'd misheard came forward, ashamed. The misunderstanding became clear, and suddenly, what had sounded like an act of violence turned into a story of desperate love and survival. Evelyn watched it all unfold and realized something profound, that sometimes the world is too quick to believe the worst and too slow to see the heart behind the chaos. Days later, in the recovery room, sunlight streamed through the blinds. The sterile white walls were softened by the morning glow. Mia was sitting up, pale but smiling faintly. Adam sat beside her, his hands bandaged, eyes heavy with exhaustion and relief. You scared me, she said quietly. You scared me, he replied with a broken laugh. They sat in silence for a while. Outside the room, Evelyn stood by the door, watching. She had attended hundreds of accidents, but this one stayed with her. That night, at a press conference, she spoke about it, not the details of the case, but the lesson it carried. Her voice was steady but emotional. Greater than, sometimes, words fail us. In panic, in fear, in love, we say things we don't mean. But we must learn to look deeper before we judge. That night, I heard a young man begging the universe to save the woman he loved. His words were clumsy, but his heart was pure. He didn't mean harm, he meant hope. And that's what love really is. Not poetry, not perfection, but chaos and courage in the same breath. The crowd was silent, cameras flashed, some people wept. The story spread, not as a scandal, but as a message. Misunderstood words don't define a person's truth. Adam and Mia eventually healed, both in body and in heart. They visited Evelyn months later, bringing flowers and gratitude. When they said goodbye, Evelyn smiled and said softly, "You two are proof that love doesn't always sound right, but it shows up when it's needed most."